Chapter 3. The Sign of the Beast, the Nightmare. Revelations 19:20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. I've been walking for countless moons, in the dark, searching for something real. Feel the pain, deep inside. Did no crime, wrong is right. Dying and living, through day and night. Never give up, without a fight. I'm insane, play the game, try to love, rage and hate. Written by Keane, typed and edited by Betty Race. The man of black stood and stared at his smashed-up black Cadillac that sat smoking just below the cliff. He himself stood about 100 feet away in the school parking lot. All the children came out the door of the elementary school, followed by the mother, principal, and city real estate man. "Is that the man of black?" the mother asked. Her son nodded. All the adults were in awe of the man of black, for he had just healed every handicapped child in the school. The man of black held out his hand towards the car and closed his eyes. "What the hell is he doing?" the principal asked. All of a sudden, the car began dragging forward by an invisible force. As the heap came closer to the man of black, it seemed to magically repair itself the closer it came. By the time the black car reached the parking lot directly in front of the man of black, it was completely fixed. No one said a word but stood, their chins dropped. This truly was a man to be reckoned with. The man of black jumped into his car. In a short moment, the song "Am I Evil" by Metallica ripped out loudly as he sped off onto the highway. 2 weeks later, most of the teenagers began attending school, for there was no sign of the man of black. The man of black had not made any other appearances. All the blacks stood huddled up in the parking lot listening to an Eminem song about a fan who went crazy and drove off a bridge with his pregnant wife tied up in the trunk. The jocks stood over on the sidewalk discussing a plan. "I think we should get some guns and take care of this asshole," Tommy insisted. "Because of him, we don't get to play in the big game. Just because he hurt Moose, we have to pay for it." Steve shook his head in disgust and spoke. "This is bullshit. My girlfriend is moving. My dad keeps slapping me around. There was supposed to be some talent scouts at the game. It was my big chance to make it. Now some fucker just comes in and ruins it. I'm up for killing this bitch. Slowly." They continued their conversation and plans to rid the man of black. All of a sudden, a white '74 Lincoln came ripping through the school entrance and into the parking lot. Everyone stopped what they were doing and stared. They remembered the principal saying the man of black had drove away in a white Lincoln. However, to all their surprise, Christian got out of the car. The blacks saw a dark figure in the passenger side, very still. "Come quick!" he beckoned the blacks. They just stood still and silent. The young man in white disregarded them and hurried to the passenger side, opening the door. He ducked down and lifted the person that had been sitting still. "It's Chanel! She's alive!" Reggie gasped. All of them ran over to see if she was okay. "I found her walking down Highway 30 like this. I didn't know what to do with her," Christian said, holding her up. She began to slump, and when she did, Reggie could see something on her back. "Hold up, what's that?" He pointed at her back. Christian and the black guys bent her over the Lincoln and lifted up her shirt. They began coughing, trying not to puke. "Oh my fucking God!" Reggie exclaimed. On her back, it appeared as though someone deliberately carved the words, N-word bitch, and a Nazi symbol on her back. Dried up blood and small maggots rested upon the deep incision. She then began to pass out and fall, but they caught her. "The only thing she said when I found her was, 'Rape. They raped me,'" Christian said, staring at her. Reggie turned and stared at the skinheads who were standing by the entrance of the school. His expression was blank, like his mind had been broken, and his body began to take control, though now it seemed an empty vessel. "Take her to the hospital. I got something I gotta do." Reggie spoke like a robot, almost monotone. "I'll take her, guys. I'm sorry you had to see this. I don't know what this world's coming to," Christian said, dragging her to the back seat to lie down. Reggie turned and reached into his own car, opened his glove compartment, and pulled out a gun, stuffing it down his pants. The man in white stared surprised at Reggie. Nevertheless, quickly got in his car and began driving off. As he drove towards the intersection where the highway begins and school ends, he took a quick moment to glance over and spot Reggie walking towards the skinheads. At that moment, he sped off. However, the black girl saw something very strange as she tried to sit up. The man in white was smiling at her through the rear-view mirror with tiny, pointy, razor-sharp teeth. Oof. Her eyes rolled back in her head and she fell unconscious. The bell rang, and all the students began filing into the school reluctantly. The skinheads just stood their ground. From the sidewalk came the jocks, and from the parking lot came Reggie. The jocks stared as Reggie came closer, thinking he was coming to talk. However, the skinheads could see that Reggie's eyes were focused on them. It was also apparent that he wasn't happy either. "What's this N-word want?" Zach, the leader of the group, spat. At that moment, Reggie pulled the gun from his pants and aimed directly at Zach. All the skinheads' expressions changed from offense to defense mode. The jocks took a step back, as did anyone with some sense. "What are you doing, Reggie?" Steve Manning asked in panic. Reggie spun around with the gun and aimed at Steve. When the gun had made its circle, many students ducked with a loud, "Whoa!" Steve closed his eyes and held up his hands in surprise and fear the moment the gun came to a full stop aimed at him. "Please, man, don't shoot me. Come on, we're friends," Steve begged for his life. Reggie stared at Steve, then glanced over at Tommy, who was standing near. Reggie's expression became that of disgust when he looked down at Tommy's pants and realized he was pissing down both legs because he was so scared. "Hey man, what's the fucking problem?" Zach blurted. Again, the gun spun back towards the skinheads, and again, "Whoa!" from the bystanders was heard as others tried to duck and flee. "Oh, now I'm a man, but every day this years I was just a Niger to you all. Why all of a sudden we all being so polite? Is it 'cause I got a gun?" Reggie started waving the gun around casually. "Please don't kill me," Tommy whined. Reggie pointed the gun quickly in the direction of the jocks, but something unexpected happened. The gun fired unintentionally. Reggie stared in horror as Steve Manning held his stomach, blood oozing out. Steve stared at Reggie and then fell to his knees, then onto his face. Reggie had just planned to scare the skinheads because of what he thought they had done to his friend Chanel. Now he killed a human being on accident. He knew he was going to fry. His life was over. His football career, his future gone with one single moment of rage. You stupid Niger! Now you're dead! Zack scoffed. Reggie knew he was dog meat, so he turned the gun on Zack, and this time intentionally pulling the trigger. The bullet ripped through the eye socket of Zack's skull, spraying his brains and blood all over his friends, the skinheads. Oh, Jesus! One skinhead spit. Blood had gotten into his mouth and all over him. A lot of crying and screaming was going on. Tommy just stared motionless at his dead friend. I'm sick and tired of you all thinking you're better than us. You think you could just talk shit, fucking spit on us whenever you feel like it? Well, you fucked up, plain and simple. The moment you raped a sister and left your signature on her back like she was just a piece of meat, you asked for it. You begged me to end you lives. Reggie preached. Reggie had lost it. He was having a nervous breakdown, and the worst of it was, he was armed and dangerous. We didn't do shit to your friend. That dude wearing those black clothes did it, Reggie. The guy in the black Cadillac, he's just trying to frame us. A smaller skinhead wheezed. Reggie began to think. He started absorbing the events that had happened and what was going on presently. He began to think rationally and realized he had made a grave mistake. At that moment, the wind began to blow, and there appeared the Man of Black, directly standing in front of the group of skinheads. Reggie, it's a no-win situation, the Man of Black sneered. Put down the gun. Reggie held the gun up at the Man of Black, and the skinheads behind him began to shake their heads as if to say, Don't kill us. You motherfucker! Look what you did to me! Reggie screamed. Everyone was confused, for no one except for Reggie could see the Man of Black. You'll be famous for 15 minutes on the news. Another N-word kid shoots up a school full of defenseless students. The Man of Black smiled. Fuck you! Tears swelled in Reggie's eyes. I didn't say anything, Reggie, the young skinhead said, confused. Everyone who was witnessing the entire situation thought Reggie was talking to himself, for they could still not see the Man of Black. I'm your man, monkey. I raped and carved that little deal on her back. I don't know, I got carried away and thought I was in art class, so I made me an original piece of art right on that black slut's back. The Man of Black laughed insanely. You sick motherfucker! Reggie disdained and shot at the Man of Black. The bullet ripped through the young skinhead who was standing directly behind the Man of Black. Reggie's eyes grew large. He didn't understand. How could he missed the tall, dark figure? The teacher, Fabian Andrews, walked out of the school, standing between the Man of Black and Reggie. Reggie, he's not who you think he is. He's just trying to fool you, Fabian warned. Now it was the Man of Black who became confused, but began to understand. Ah, Fabian. Your time will come. You can't stop what is written. You're a fool if you think you could save them, the Man of Black spoke. My brother will stop you. As long as men believe and process faith, you will never be able to fulfill the prophecy, Fabian spoke. Look around you, Fabian, the Man of Black pointed all about. Fabian and Reggie stared in horror when they realized everyone was frozen. The birds were frozen in the air, and there was complete silence all over the world. All things ceased. I control time, Fabian. Time is on my side. I can take a single moment and turn it into an eternity. Hell is here, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. But you both have an option. You may either take upon my sign, a simple pledge of your allegiance, or there's the other option. You can die slowly by my hand, the man of black preached. Reggie stood there. He was so scared his legs wanted to run, but he was paralyzed with fear. A voice told him, within his head, that the dark figure that stood before him was not a man, but the devil himself. He felt like a rat that had been led into a maze, and at the end was certain death. Excuse me. At that moment, Fabian watched as Reggie took his own life. No! Fabian bellowed. Another one bites the dust. If humans were more of a challenge, I might get more satisfaction. The man of black shook his head. Fabian was in shock. Too bad he didn't ask for forgiveness. Thou shalt not kill. Your evil, sadistic God's rules. You gotta love the way it plays out. I've been of this world since the moment all things were created. From the beginning of time, and God expects you all to be able to defeat me. Can you see the humor, the sick comedy behind it? This is why I enjoy killing you all, 'cause you're arrogant enough to think you could stop me. He doesn't help you understand. He gives you no weapon. How can you actually expect to beat me? I have killed angels and the gods of man with a simple flick of my finger. I say it and make it so. Don't be a fool, Fabian. God has turned his back on this world. I am the God of all you see now. Bow down before me and I will spare your pathetic life, the man of black bragged. If God turned his back on us, then that would make him a liar. No, it is written you will lose, Fabian spoke. Don't believe everything you read. The Bible was written by sheep herders, making it out to look like man was God's greatest creation. A mere story of good versus evil, with you typical fairy tale ending of the hero that zooms in from the sky like Superman defeating the big bad dragon and peace to all. Do you actually believe that? Come on, Fabian. You're a teacher. You teach history. Do you actually believe that shit when in reality God ever saved the day? The good die bad, and the bad sit up rich with golden mansions and live out their fleshy desires. Am I right? The man of black asked. If you're so good of a god, then why are you forcing me to worship you? Or what was that other option? Oh yeah, or I die? Fabian ridiculed. The man of black stood silent. Tell me what you want, and I'll make it so. What will it take to make you understand? The man of black spoke. Well, you said you owned all time, that time was on your side. So give me time to think it over, Fabian finished. Damn you, Fabian. I could love you more than Jesus. The man of black cracked his knuckles, speaking in a demonic voice. At that moment, everything began to rewind, and time started up again. The birds began to fly in the sky, and everyone stood silent around Reggie's body. The man of black was nowhere in sight. Fabian took one last look at Reggie's dead body and walked back into the school with a blank expression on his face. He knew the nightmare had just begun. As the white 74 Lincoln sped down the highway, the song Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden played loudly over the car's speakers. The black girl sat up in the back seat. Christian turned off the car stereo. It was now raining hard. Thunder and lightning rocked the sky. Oh, why are we driving so fast? The black girl groaned. The locks on the door went down. She was trapped. Hey, what are you doing? She asked, frightened. Christian turned back on the music. The 74 Lincoln turned off the highway onto a small, desolate road. Then a moment later, the car turned off onto a back road out in the middle of nowhere, only trees all about. If you wanted to murder someone, this was the perfect place, she thought. far enough from civilization that even if one wanted to scream, it would be pointless because no one would hear you for miles. Her body hurt so bad, she knew fighting was not going to be an option. The car picked up speed as it sped off into a never land. What are you planning to do to me? She asked. Finally, the car stopped and the music went off. Why are you so afraid? He turned and faced her. Well, you've been driving like a bat out of hell. Then take me to a remote area. Why shouldn't I be? She asks sarcastically. He smiled. All of your life you've been rushed towards death at blinding speed. Fornicating, prostituting, drugs. And on many occasions, when it was convenient for you, you stole, lied, and cheated. Hell, girl, you broke every commandment of God. Well, except for killing. But I'm sure if given enough time, you would. Christian added, sounded like he was being comedic. Oh yeah, he snorted. You had an abortion, so that would make you a murderer too. Fuck you. You don't know a goddamn thing about me. I do what I do to get by, she said angrily. Now listen, I understand. You're only human. I know why you killed the baby. When you were 13, you got pregnant and your parents threw you out. Your father, a preacher, would be a man of God. You, being the strong girl you were, went into a maternity home. If that's what you want to call it, try to have the baby, but it almost kills you. Ugh. And of course the child couldn't survive it, so ever since then you have been afraid, and that's why when you became pregnant 2 years ago you aborted the baby. He finished. She was in shock. How do you know so much about me? She asked. I know you chose to have your third child at 15. You do your damnedest every day to take care of yourself and that baby, with no man there to help you support it. It truly is sad, he said, shaking his head. She began to cry. I know you feel like committing suicide sometimes. You just don't feel like God cares for you. Your father, a man who claims to speak the word, yet he curses you from behind closed doors. What a hypocrite he is. Your mother and him had you at the same age you had your child. They got support, help from the family. But no, you're all alone, the man in white ridiculed. She just broke down and cried. He stared at her and smiled. He threw a huge duffel bag into her lap. What is this? She asked, sobbing. Look inside, he replied. When she unzipped the bag, she thought she was dreaming. The bag was filled to the hilt with money. All that is yours. Now you can be happy. You've suffered enough, he smiled. All of a sudden, her body transformed from bruised and tattered to incredibly beautiful. All of her scars were lifted. I have taken away your pain, the wounds you have suffered, child. Because of me, you will never die, never know of pain again. All that you want and need will be yours just by asking, he spoke. Why have you done this for me? She asked. I ask for 2 things in return. 2 simple things. Are you willing to listen? He asked. She nodded. Well, first, I want you to stand at your father's podium and tell all who will come to hear the sins of your father has bestowed upon you. Speak the truth to those who will listen, he spoke. I've always wanted to do that, she smiled. Good. Now for my second request, he continued. The man who hurt you like this is Damian Andrews, known to all as the Man of Black. He wishes to stop me from doing good will unto men, and if he has his way, everything I've given you he would take away.
He enjoys man's suffering. I'm surprised he didn't kill you. The man of black is trying to deceive those who will allow him the chance. He's a liar and tries to destroy all that I've done, so he himself must be destroyed if ever there was a chance for peace in this world.
He spoke.
Why does he do these things? Why does he hurt people for? Why did he hurt me? She asked. He takes pleasure in destroying God's creations. He hates everyone because of the loss he suffered when he was a man, Christian replied. What did he lose? She asked. Everything, he answered. I appreciate what you've done for me, but I have to know who you are, she asked. I'm an angel, he replied. A chill swept over her spine. An angel of God? She asked. Yes, I've come to this world like many others to save mankind. We came to rid death and suffering for all time. The man of black has killed most of us, and if he isn't stopped, the suffering continues, he finished. They both sat in silence. Is he the devil? She asked, afraid. No, he's not the devil, nor is he an angel, although he is more powerful than an angel, but more evil than any demon could ever hope to be. Christian frowned. She shook her head, puzzled. I don't understand. If he's neither, how could he be so powerful? What the hell is he? If he's just a normal man of flesh and bone... What the hell is he? If just a normal man of flesh and bones like me?
Christian stared deep into her eyes and answered the question. Though his words were few, she knew in her heart the end was near. Damian Andrews is the Antichrist. End of chapter 3.